Magnolia General Hospital, a renowned institution in the bustling city of Florencia, is a place where lives are saved and destinies are forged. Hernan, a brilliant but aloof surgeon whose unmatched skills are only rivaled by his cold demeanor. Hernan carries a heavy emotional burden from his past, which has made him distrustful and fiercely independent. Enter Lilian, a new surgical fellow with an unyielding drive to help others. Unlike Hernan, Lilian is warm, optimistic, and deeply empathetic. Her idealism often clashes with the harsh realities of the medical field, but her determination never falters. Their first encounter is explosive. Lilian is assigned to assist Hernan in a complex emergency surgery involving a critically injured car accident victim. Hernan's precise yet detached manner irks Lilian, who believes in treating patients with compassion. Despite the tension, their combined efforts save the patient's life. Dr. Hugo, the hospital's legendary but unconventional chief surgeon, watches their interaction with interest. He sees the potential for both to grow by learning from each other, and he decides to pair them for upcoming cases. As Hernan and Lilian begin working together, their stark differences become evident. Hernan prioritizes technical perfection and efficiency, while Lilian emphasizes emotional support and patient care. This leads to frequent clashes during surgeries and patient consultations. Their differing approaches are tested when a young mother arrives at the hospital with life-threatening complications during childbirth. Hernan's focus is on saving the mother, while Lilian advocates for balancing the needs of both the mother and the baby. In the operating room, tensions reach a boiling point, but Lilian's quick thinking and emotional connection with the patient help calm a tense situation. Hernan grudgingly acknowledges her contribution, but he remains skeptical of her methods. Afterward, Lilian confronts Hernan about his lack of empathy, accusing him of treating patients as puzzles rather than people. Hernan retorts that emotions have no place in saving lives. Their heated exchange leaves both reflecting on their perspectives. Dr. Hugo, recognizing the need to bridge the gap between Hernan and Lilian, assigns them to a high-pressure community outreach program. They are tasked with setting up a temporary clinic in a rural area outside Florencia, where medical resources are scarce. The experience is an eye-opener for Hernan, who is confronted with the human side of medicine in a way he has avoided for years. Lilian's natural ability to connect with patients impresses him, even as he struggles to adapt to the lack of advanced medical tools. During their time at the clinic, Hernan and Lilian treat a variety of cases, from a farmer with a severe infection to a young girl suffering from a congenital heart defect. Hernan's technical expertise saves lives, but it is Lilian's compassion that earns the trust of the community. One night, as they share a rare moment of quiet, Lilian opens up about her late mother, who inspired her to become a doctor despite their modest background. Hernan listens, moved by her vulnerability, though he does not yet share his own past. Back at Magnolia General, Hernan and Lilian's teamwork is put to the test when a wealthy but difficult patient demands a complicated, elective surgery. Hernan's confidence borders on arrogance as he dismisses Lilian's concerns about the patient's underlying psychological issues. However, when the surgery faces unexpected complications, Hernan is forced to rely on Lilian's insights to stabilize the patient. The experience shakes his self-assurance and gives him a newfound respect for Lilian's instincts. Later, Hernan confides in Dr. Hugo, revealing his struggle to reconcile his past trauma with his current role as a surgeon. Dr. Hugo advises him to stop shutting others out, reminding him that medicine is not just about skill, but also about connection and trust. Meanwhile, Lilian begins to see glimpses of Hernan's vulnerability beneath his cold exterior. She resolves to understand him better, even as her growing admiration for him complicates her emotions. As Hernan and Lilian settle back into the demanding pace of Magnolia General Hospital, they are assigned a high-profile case: an influential politician who requires urgent heart surgery. The stakes are higher than ever, as the patient's survival could affect the hospital's reputation. Dr. Hugo, sensing this as an opportunity for growth, names Hernan as the lead surgeon and Lilian as the first assistant. Hernan, known for his uncompromising standards, is skeptical of Lilian's readiness for such a complex procedure. Lilian, determined to prove herself, rises to the challenge. During the surgery, a sudden complication arises. Hernan instinctively takes control, but Lilian, noticing a subtle change in the patient's vitals, suggests an alternative approach. Her observation turns out to be life-saving. For the first time, Hernan openly acknowledges her skill, a small but significant step in their evolving dynamic. Outside the operating room, the media attention surrounding the politician's recovery puts pressure on both Hernan and Lilian. Hernan struggles with the added scrutiny, retreating into his usual stoicism, while Lilian faces criticism from skeptics questioning her abilities. Despite the challenges, their teamwork strengthens, and they start to build a fragile sense of trust. Lilian's curiosity about Hernan's past grows as she notices subtle cracks in his seemingly impenetrable armor. Her efforts to get closer to him are met with resistance, as Hernan continues to shield himself from emotional vulnerability. Meanwhile, a patient arrives at Magnolia General who unknowingly forces Hernan to confront his buried trauma. The patient, an elderly man suffering from advanced cardiac issues, reminds Hernan of his estranged father, who had been a demanding and emotionally distant figure. The case triggers painful memories for Hernan, causing him to make uncharacteristic mistakes in his diagnoses. Lilian, noticing his distress, steps in to support both Hernan and the patient's family. Her empathy and unwavering patience begin to chip away at Hernan's defenses. In a rare moment of openness, Hernan reveals fragments of his past to Lilian, including his father's high expectations and the loss of his mother. Lilian listens without judgment, offering a quiet understanding that Hernan has never experienced before. Their bond deepens, though Hernan remains wary of letting his guard down completely. A devastating accident brings multiple critically injured patients to Magnolia General, overwhelming the hospital's resources and staff. Hernan and Lilian are thrust into the chaos, working tirelessly to stabilize the victims. One patient, a teenage girl with severe internal injuries, becomes a focal point for Lilian, who connects deeply with the family. Hernan, initially dismissive of Lilian's emotional involvement, begins to see the value of her approach when the girl's parents express gratitude for Lilian's compassion and communication. As the night drags on, the pressure takes its toll on everyone, including Hernan. He pushes himself to the brink of exhaustion, driven by a relentless need for perfection. Lilian, noticing his physical and emotional strain, intervenes, urging him to rest and trust his team. Hernan reluctantly agrees, a small but significant step toward relinquishing control. In the aftermath of the crisis, Hernan reflects on Lilian's ability to balance technical skill with emotional connection. He begins to question his own rigid methods and considers the possibility of integrating her approach into his own practice. Dr. Hugo organizes a hospital retreat to give the staff a chance to recover from the recent chaos. Set in a serene countryside location outside Florencia, the retreat offers Hernan and Lilian an opportunity to interact outside the high-pressure environment of the hospital. During a team-building exercise, Hernan and Lilian are paired together, forcing them to rely on each other in unfamiliar ways. The experience brings unexpected moments of levity, as Hernan's dry humor begins to surface and Lilian's warmth draws him out of his shell. One evening, as they sit by a campfire, Lilian shares more about her journey into medicine and her desire to honor her late mother's legacy. Hernan, moved by her story, reveals more about his own struggles, including his fear of failure and his unresolved grief over his mother's death. This moment of vulnerability marks a turning point in their relationship. Hernan begins to see Lilian not just as a colleague, but as someone he can trust and rely on. Lilian, in turn, gains a deeper understanding of Hernan's complexities and the pain that drives him. A medical emergency thrusts Hernan and Lilian into one of the most challenging situations they've ever faced. A bus accident on the outskirts of Florencia sends multiple critically injured patients to Magnolia General. Among them is a young boy, Mateo, who has sustained life-threatening injuries. The operating rooms are at full capacity, and Hernan decides to lead the most critical case himself while delegating others. Lilian, despite her own anxieties, is placed in charge of stabilizing Mateo. With Hernan's occasional guidance, Lilian works tirelessly, her hands trembling but her focus unwavering. When Mateo's condition deteriorates mid-surgery, Lilian improvises a risky but brilliant solution, saving the boy's life. Hernan, observing her ingenuity, is both impressed and silently proud. The incident becomes a defining moment for Lilian, earning her newfound respect among the staff. However, the weight of the day's events takes an emotional toll on Lilian. Hernan finds her crying in the break room, overwhelmed by the gravity of her decisions. For the first time, Hernan doesn't distance himself. Instead, he offers a rare gesture of comfort, silently sitting beside her until she calms down. As Hernan and Lilian recover from the chaos, a new case shakes Hernan to his core. An older man named Mr. Salvador arrives at the hospital, suffering from heart complications. To Hernan's shock, the patient is a former colleague of his late mother, someone who holds fragments of Hernan's childhood memories. Mr. Salvador's arrival stirs Hernan's long-buried emotions. He becomes unusually preoccupied with the case, pushing Lilian away when she offers to help. Unbeknownst to her, Hernan fears facing the past he has tried so hard to forget. Lilian, frustrated by Hernan's cold demeanor, decides to confront him. In a heated exchange, she demands to know why he refuses to let anyone get close. Hernan, caught off guard, reveals the weight of his mother's death and the pressure he has felt to live up to her legacy. Their argument leaves both of them shaken, but also creates a crack in Hernan's emotional walls. Later, Lilian gently encourages him to visit Mr. Salvador, who shares stories of Hernan's mother and the kindness she was known for. Hernan begins to see that his perfectionism is not the only way to honor her memory. The hospital welcomes a visiting specialist, Dr. Martina, who is renowned for her innovative approaches in cardiology. Dr. Martina quickly takes an interest in Lilian, recognizing her potential and offering her mentorship. Hernan, although initially supportive, begins to feel a twinge of jealousy as he watches Lilian bond with Dr. Martina. This jealousy becomes evident during a case where Lilian suggests a technique she learned from Dr. Martina. Hernan dismisses it without consideration, leading to tension between them. Dr. Hugo, noticing the strain, advises Hernan to reflect on his insecurities and consider what truly matters, the patients. Meanwhile, Lilian faces her own struggles. Dr. Martina offers her a prestigious opportunity to work on an international research project. Torn between her loyalty to Magnolia General and her desire to grow, Lilian confides in Hernan. To her surprise, he encourages her to seize the opportunity, though his expression betrays his inner conflict. With Lilian preparing to leave for the research project, Hernan throws himself into his work, masking his unease about her absence. The hospital feels different without her presence, and Hernan begins to realize just how much he relies on her, not just professionally but emotionally. During this time, a new intern, Dr. Marcos, joins Magnolia General. Eager to impress, Marcos tries to emulate Hernan's perfectionism but quickly clashes with the team. Hernan sees a reflection of his younger self in Marcos and takes him under his wing, teaching him the importance of balancing skill with compassion. Meanwhile, Lilian excels in her research project but finds herself missing the chaotic yet rewarding environment of Magnolia General and Hernan's steady, if sometimes distant, presence. She begins to question what truly matters to her. A medical emergency involving Dr. Hugo brings Lilian back to the hospital sooner than expected. Hernan, uncharacteristically vulnerable, admits how much he missed her. Their reunion is both heartfelt and awkward, as they navigate the unspoken feelings that have been building between them. Lilian's return to Magnolia General is met with warmth and excitement, but the joy is short-lived as the hospital faces a legal crisis. A patient's family accuses Dr. Martina of negligence, citing her involvement in a failed surgery during her time mentoring Lilian abroad. The media quickly picks up the story, casting a shadow over the hospital's reputation. Lilian is caught in the crossfire as she had assisted Dr. Martina during the surgery in question. While Dr. Martina takes full responsibility, Lilian feels the weight of guilt pressing down on her. Hernan steps in, using his connections and expertise to investigate the matter further. As Hernan digs deeper, he discovers inconsistencies in the family's claims. With Lilian's help, they uncover evidence proving the surgery was performed under critical, unavoidable circumstances, absolving Dr. Martina of wrongdoing. The ordeal strengthens the bond between Hernan and Lilian, as they realize how much they trust and rely on each other. However, the experience leaves Lilian questioning her abilities. She confides in Hernan, who reassures her with uncharacteristic warmth, reminding her that even the best doctors face challenges and that her resilience is what sets her apart. Dr. Hugo, who has been like a father figure to Hernan, collapses during a routine checkup. The team discovers that he has a rare, life-threatening heart condition requiring immediate surgery. Hernan insists on leading the procedure, despite objections from the board, who fear that his emotional connection to Dr. Hugo might cloud his judgment. Lilian steps in, offering to co-lead the surgery to balance Hernan's emotional burden. The operation is one of the most intricate the hospital has ever undertaken, with every second feeling like a lifetime. Hernan and Lilian work in perfect harmony, their synergy saving Dr. Hugo's life. After the surgery, Hernan visits Dr. Hugo, who, though weak, expresses his gratitude. Dr. Hugo also shares a heartfelt conversation with Hernan, encouraging him to embrace life beyond the walls of the hospital and not let his career define his every waking moment. The words resonate deeply with Hernan, prompting him to reflect on his growing feelings for Lilian. Meanwhile, Lilian finds herself drawn closer to Hernan, but her fears of complicating their professional relationship keep her from expressing her emotions. As Magnolia General celebrates its 50th anniversary, tensions rise between the hospital's departments. The emergency department and cardiology unit clash over resource allocation, with Hernan caught in the middle. To ease the tension, Lilian suggests a team-building retreat, a rare light-hearted moment in the otherwise intense hospital environment. The retreat is filled with unexpected moments. Hernan, initially resistant to the idea, surprises everyone by participating in activities, showing a side of himself few have seen. During a late-night walk, Hernan and Lilian find themselves alone by the campfire. Their conversation turns deeply personal, as Hernan opens up about his struggles with balancing his responsibilities and his desire for something more meaningful in life. Lilian, in turn, shares her fears of failure and the pressure of living up to expectations. The vulnerability of the moment brings them closer, and for a brief second, it seems as though Hernan might confess his feelings. However, the arrival of their colleagues interrupts them, leaving their emotions unresolved. Back at the hospital, the retreat's temporary camaraderie fades as a high-profile patient arrives, sparking a power struggle among the senior doctors. Hernan and Lilian must navigate the political minefield while ensuring the patient receives the best care. The high-profile patient, a renowned philanthropist, brings not only medical challenges but also media attention. Hernan takes the lead on the case, with Lilian as his second-in-command. The two work tirelessly, but tensions flare as the hospital's board interferes, demanding updates and pressuring the team to prioritize optics over patient care. Hernan's frustration boils over during a meeting with the board, where he boldly defends his team's autonomy. His outburst causes a rift with the administration, but earns him the admiration of his colleagues. Lilian, impressed by Hernan's unwavering dedication, begins to see him in a new light. As the patient's condition worsens, Hernan and Lilian perform an innovative procedure that not only saves the philanthropist's life, but also earns Magnolia General international recognition. The victory, however, is bittersweet, as Hernan confronts the toll the case has taken on him. In a rare moment of vulnerability, Hernan confesses to Lilian that he feels trapped by the expectations placed upon him. Lilian, moved by his honesty, reminds him that he is more than his title and that he deserves to find happiness beyond the hospital. Their conversation is interrupted by the arrival of Hernan's estranged father, who has come seeking reconciliation. Hernan's reaction is a mix of anger and confusion, setting the stage for deeper exploration of his past in the chapters to come. Hernan's estranged father, Manuel, arrives at Magnolia General, seeking reconciliation after years of silence. The reunion is anything but cordial. Manuel's appearance dredges up painful memories of abandonment and betrayal for Hernan, who lashes out, refusing to forgive or even listen to him. Lilian, witnessing Hernan's anguish, takes it upon herself to understand the full story. Manuel, desperate to make amends, reveals that he left Hernan's family because of financial struggles and the shame of his failures. He admits to watching Hernan's career from afar and expresses his pride in his son's accomplishments. Despite this, Hernan remains cold, unwilling to let go of his resentment. Meanwhile, Magnolia General faces a crisis as an infectious disease outbreak threatens the safety of patients and staff. Hernan and Lilian are at the forefront of the response, tirelessly working to contain the spread. During the chaos, Lilian contracts a mild form of the illness, forcing Hernan to confront his fears of losing her. While caring for Lilian, Hernan lets his walls down, admitting how much she means to him. Though his words are subtle, the emotion behind them is clear. Lilian, touched by his concern, begins to see hope for their relationship even amidst the turmoil. As the outbreak subsides, Magnolia General faces scrutiny from the media and the public. The board pressures Hernan to issue a public statement, placing the blame on the hospital's overworked staff to deflect responsibility. Hernan refuses, choosing instead to defend his team. In an emotionally charged meeting, Hernan delivers a powerful speech about the dedication of healthcare workers and the systemic issues that led to the outbreak. His words resonate with the staff, but further strain his relationship with the administration. Lilian, inspired by his courage, rallies the hospital's younger doctors to stand in solidarity with Hernan. Their united front leads to policy changes within the hospital, improving working conditions and earning Magnolia General a renewed sense of pride. However, the victory is bittersweet for Hernan, as he continues to grapple with his unresolved feelings for Lilian and the lingering shadow of his father's return. Lilian, noticing Hernan's internal struggle, encourages him to take time for himself. She arranges a brief getaway to a nearby seaside town, hoping to provide him with a moment of peace. At the seaside, Hernan and Lilian find themselves far from the pressures of the hospital. The tranquility of the setting allows them to open up in ways they hadn't before. Hernan shares stories of his childhood, revealing the deep scars left by his father's absence. Lilian, in turn, talks about her own family struggles, particularly the pressure to live up to her late father's legacy as a doctor. Their shared vulnerability brings them closer, and Hernan finally admits that he has feelings for her. Lilian, overwhelmed but happy, confesses her feelings as well. The two share a heartfelt moment, their connection deepening as they realize how much they mean to each other. However, their newfound happiness is interrupted when they receive an urgent call from the hospital. Manuel has been admitted after collapsing. Back at Magnolia General, Hernan is forced to confront his father's deteriorating health. Manuel is diagnosed with a severe heart condition requiring immediate surgery. Hernan, despite his anger, insists on leading the procedure, determined to save his father's life. During the operation, Hernan is struck by memories of his childhood, of moments when Manuel was a loving father before everything fell apart. The surgery is a success, but Hernan remains emotionally conflicted. After recovering, Manuel thanks Hernan and pleads for another chance to be part of his life. Lilian gently encourages Hernan to consider forgiveness, reminding him that holding on to resentment will only weigh him down. Hernan begins to soften, agreeing to start with small steps toward reconciliation. Hernan and Lilian sharing a quiet moment, reflecting on the changes in their lives. Hernan, for the first time, feels hopeful about both his personal and professional future. Lilian, standing by his side, realizes that their partnership is stronger than ever, and together they are ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead. Hernan's professional and personal life collide when a prominent politician, Senator de Guzman, is rushed to Magnolia General following a high-profile accident. The case draws media attention, placing Hernan and his team under immense pressure. Hernan, ever the perfectionist, takes charge of the operation, balancing the demands of a political spectacle with the need to focus on his patient. The tension in the hospital is palpable. Senator de Guzman's family members, especially his influential and demanding wife, interfere with the medical process, questioning the hospital's capabilities. Hernan defends his team with unwavering resolve, but the ordeal begins to wear him down. Meanwhile, Lilian finds herself caught between two roles: a compassionate doctor treating the senator's injured son, Marcus, and an emotional anchor for Hernan. She sees the toll the high-stakes environment is taking on him and tries to ease his burden, but Hernan remains distant, consumed by the weight of his responsibilities. Amidst this, the hospital staff faces internal struggles. Younger doctors, feeling overwhelmed, begin to doubt their abilities, leading to tension in the ER. Lilian steps in as a mentor, reminding them of their oath to serve patients with humility and resilience. Her leadership inspires the staff, and they begin to regain confidence. As the senator's condition stabilizes, Hernan finds a moment to reflect. Lilian confronts him about his tendency to shoulder everything alone, urging him to trust others more. Hernan, recognizing her unwavering support, starts to open up, admitting his fears of failure and the vulnerability he feels as a leader. As the hospital recovers from the media frenzy, a new challenge emerges in the form of Dr. Alaric Vega, a renowned surgeon with a sharp tongue and an air of superiority. Dr. Vega, appointed by the board to oversee Magnolia General Surgical Department, clashes immediately with Hernan. Dr. Vega questions Hernan's leadership style, accusing him of being too emotionally invested in his cases. Their confrontations grow heated, with the staff caught in the middle. While Hernan's team supports him, Dr. Vega's expertise and track record earn him respect from some younger doctors, creating a divide. Lilian finds herself mediating between the two, urging both to find common ground for the sake of the hospital. She reminds Hernan that while Dr. Vega's methods are abrasive, his experience could be invaluable. At the same time, she encourages Dr. Vega to appreciate Hernan's empathetic approach, which has earned the trust of both staff and patients. The turning point comes during a complex case involving a young girl with a rare heart condition. Hernan and Dr. Vega are forced to collaborate, combining their unique strengths to save the patient's life. The success of the operation marks the beginning of a grudging respect between the two, though their rivalry remains intact. As Hernan navigates professional challenges, his personal life takes another hit when his estranged father, Manuel, announces his intention to leave the city. Manuel feels his presence is causing Hernan unnecessary stress and believes it's best to distance himself. Hernan, still grappling with his feelings, struggles to decide whether to let him go or fight for a chance at reconciliation. Lilian, ever the voice of reason, encourages Hernan to see Manuel before he leaves. She shares her own experiences with loss, emphasizing the importance of making peace before it's too late. Hernan finally agrees, meeting Manuel at a quiet cafe. In an emotional conversation, Manuel apologizes once again for his past mistakes, expressing regret for not being there when Hernan needed him most. Hernan, though still hurt, acknowledges the effort Manuel has made to reconnect. They part on better terms, with Hernan promising to keep the lines of communication open. At the hospital, Lilian faces her own challenge when a pregnant woman with complications is admitted. The woman, Anna, reminds Lilian of her late mother, sparking a wave of emotions. Lilian throws herself into the case, determined to save both mother and child. Her dedication inspires the team, and after a tense surgery, both lives are saved. The experience brings Lilian and Hernan closer, as Hernan comforts her during a moment of vulnerability. He expresses his admiration for her strength, admitting that she has become his anchor in both work and life. Just as Hernan and Lilian begin to find stability, Magnolia General is rocked by a scandal. A whistleblower accuses the hospital of financial mismanagement, implicating several board members. The accusations threaten to tarnish the hospital's reputation and derail its progress. Hernan and Lilian, determined to uncover the truth, team up with Dr. Vega to investigate. Their combined efforts reveal a trail of corruption leading to a powerful figure within the board. The revelation sends shockwaves through the hospital, leading to the resignation of several key members. The scandal serves as a wake-up call for Magnolia General, prompting reforms that strengthen its foundation. Hernan, now more confident in his leadership, vows to protect the hospital's integrity at all costs. Amidst the chaos, Hernan and Lilian share a quiet moment on the hospital rooftop. Hernan surprises Lilian by confessing his love for her, acknowledging how much she has changed his life. Lilian, overwhelmed with emotion, reciprocates, and the two share a heartfelt kiss under the night sky. A sense of hope and renewal. Hernan and Lilian, united in purpose and love, prepare to face whatever challenges come their way, ready to build a future together at Magnolia General. The pressure at Magnolia General reaches its peak as the hospital prepares for its first ever high-profile medical conference, which will host some of the most renowned doctors in the country. Hernan is tasked with presenting on innovative surgical techniques, a responsibility that could elevate the hospital's reputation or shatter it if things go wrong. Hernan pours all his energy into the preparation, neglecting his personal well-being in the process. Lilian notices his declining health and tries to intervene, but Hernan brushes off her concerns, insisting that he's fine. Their relationship faces a strain as Hernan's single-minded focus on his work leaves little room for anything else. Amidst this, a critical emergency unfolds. A construction site accident sends multiple injured workers to the ER, overwhelming the hospital staff. Lilian steps up, coordinating the chaos with her usual calm and ensuring every patient receives care. Hernan, pulled away from his conference preparations, takes charge of the operating room, performing back-to-back surgeries with precision. The event serves as a reminder to Hernan of why he became a doctor in the first place. In a quiet moment after the crisis, Lilian confronts him again, this time more forcefully. She reminds him that his brilliance as a doctor comes not just from his skills, but also from his humanity, a trait he risks losing if he continues to push everyone away. Hernan, moved by her words, apologizes and promises to find a better balance. The hospital conference brings a wave of excitement and anxiety. Doctors from across the country arrive at Magnolia General, eager to learn from Hernan and his team. Among the attendees is Dr. Victoria Salazar, a world-renowned surgeon and Hernan's former mentor. Dr. Salazar's presence stirs mixed emotions in Hernan. She was instrumental in shaping his career, but also the source of some of his deepest insecurities. Her strict, perfectionist methods often left him feeling inadequate, a shadow he struggled to escape. As the conference progresses, Dr. Salazar observes Hernan's leadership and critiques his approach. She acknowledges his technical skills but questions his emotional involvement with patients, echoing criticisms Hernan has faced before. Hernan, feeling the weight of her judgment, begins to doubt himself again. Lilian, sensing Hernan's turmoil, encourages him to see his growth for what it truly is. She reminds him that his ability to connect with people, both his patients and his team, is what sets him apart. Hernan finds the courage to confront Dr. Salazar, expressing gratitude for her teachings but firmly standing by his own approach to medicine. The confrontation allows Hernan to reclaim his confidence, solidifying his identity as a doctor and a leader. The day after the conference, Magnolia General faces a life-threatening challenge. A young woman, Clara, arrives at the hospital in critical condition after a car accident. Clara is revealed to be the niece of one of the hospital board members, adding a layer of pressure to her already precarious situation. Clara's injuries are severe, requiring an innovative and risky surgical procedure. Hernan takes on the case, but this time, he involves Dr. Vega and Dr. Salazar in the planning. The collaboration showcases the hospital's ability to unite under pressure, blending Hernan's empathy, Dr. Vega's technical precision, and Dr. Salazar's vast experience. As the surgery progresses, complications arise, testing the limits of the team's skills. In the observation room, Lilian guides the junior doctors, explaining every step of the procedure to ensure they learn from the experience. Her calm demeanor reassures the staff, even as tension mounts in the operating room. After hours of meticulous work, the surgery is a success. The team celebrates the achievement, with Hernan acknowledging the contributions of everyone involved. The experience deepens the bond between Hernan, Lilian, and their colleagues, proving that unity and mutual respect are key to overcoming even the greatest challenges. With the hospital finally settling after weeks of turmoil, Hernan and Lilian take a rare day off together. They venture to a nearby beach, a place Lilian remembers from her childhood. Away from the chaos of the hospital, they share moments of quiet reflection, talking about their dreams and fears. Hernan opens up about his struggles with perfectionism, admitting that he often feels unworthy of the trust and admiration others place in him. Lilian, in turn, shares her insecurities about always being seen as the one holding things together, even when she feels like falling apart. Their vulnerability brings them closer, deepening their love and understanding for one another. As they watch the sunset, Hernan surprises Lilian with a heartfelt confession. He tells her that she's the reason he's been able to find balance in his life, calling her his anchor amidst the storm. Overwhelmed with emotion, Lilian reciprocates, expressing how Hernan's passion and dedication inspire her to be better every day. Hernan and Lilian sharing a kiss under the fading light of the sun, their love a beacon of hope for the future. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the story. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more delightful stories.